Welcome back to Liberty Nation on the Radio America Network. I'm Greg Columbus, filling in for Tim Donner. Thanks so much for being with us this week. My guest at this time is James O'Keefe. He's the founder and president of Project Veritas. Over the past several months, O'Keefe and Project Veritas revealed efforts at now 3, maybe going on 4, major social media sites to enhance liberal figures and causes and to crack down on conservatives. The latest example is Pinterest. Earlier this week, the pro-life group Live Action revealed that it was banned from Pinterest and even labeled as pornography. Project Veritas discovered there's even more to this story. And James, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Greg, for having me.
Well, Live Action and Project Veritas are kindred spirits, to say the least. Both groups have used undercover videos to bring uncomfortable information to light. Live Action now banned on Pinterest, and you learned even more about how Pinterest looks at conservatives in general. What did you find?
This was a big story indeed. Over the last 2 days, a whistleblower, an insider, came to me at Project Veritas and said that there was a behavior. There were documents, and he shared the documents with us. And what he showed was a porn domain blacklist. This is the actual porn domain blacklist, is the term of art that Pinterest uses. It's a big tech company where you pin different designs for offices or whatever. And in this porn domain blacklist, it had Live Action, the nation's largest pro-life media organization. And when I went to type in Live Action things on the website, I noticed that it wasn't letting me do it. So the whistleblower, we interviewed him in the shadows. We show the documents. We publish the story, and Pinterest responds by removing Live Action from the porn domain blacklist. And then after we published the video, a few hours later, then they just banned Live Action outright. So Pinterest responds by placing the insider on administrative leave. They escort him outside the building. YouTube bans our video. Twitter suspends our account. So it's been quite a series of events, Greg. The big tech companies are caught red-handed. They're responding. They're tripping over themselves and creating more news in the process.
What did your whistleblower discover about what was considered troublesome material, at least at Pinterest? We talked about Live Action. Is it a broad swath of conservatism? Is it things that aren't even related to politics? So what did you discover?
Well, the only pro-life website was Live Action, and the reason why we highlighted that website on the porn list, which is 3,000 pages long, every pornographic website you can imagine. But the reason there was a conversation internally on a Slack thread, which is a text messaging internal thread, and the employee at Pinterest actually said in this private messaging board, she said, I've seen Live Action on there, and she basically said it shouldn't be on there, but we're going to keep it on there. So there was that proved that the executives at Pinterest knew that Live Action, the pro-life group, wasn't pornography, but was putting it on the list anyway. And what that meant for the company is that Live Action couldn't post. So Pinterest is a publicly traded $12.7 billion IPO. They're concerned about this news affecting them, and it appears to be the case, Greg, that Pinterest put pressure on YouTube corporate to remove our video. Now, other websites were on that porn list, including a website Zero Hedge, which is a conservative economics website. PJ Media is a conservative website. So the pattern seemed to be conservative websites and Live Action, the pro-life website, were targeted.
From what we've seen in a lot of cases so far, James, when a conservative gets banned or suspended from a particular site, it's oftentimes just that site. But in this case, there's very close coordination here because, as you mentioned, once Live Action was banned from Pinterest and then you reported on it, YouTube and Twitter dropped the sledgehammer pretty quickly here. So what does it tell you about coordination, if anything?
Well, it tells, the insider, we interviewed him, and he went on the Tucker Carlson show last night on Fox, and what he said to me was, this is the watershed moment. This is the event horizon. This is the moment that we've passed where now things are going to start snowballing. And I think he thinks he's motivated by the pro-life cause. That's why he came forward. And he said because of Roe versus Wade, of where things stand in that court case, the big tech companies have drawn a line in the sand, and they're going to start choosing to be have an editorial agenda. And they're no longer just big tech companies who have platforms, they're publishers. And now they're trying to stop and censor and prohibit the American people from having the information that'll wake them up, that'll shake them awake, said the insider to me. So it's been pretty extraordinary. YouTube banned my video. Of course, I don't have anywhere to go. YouTube and Twitter and Facebook are the platforms I use. So Donald Trump Jr., the president's son, embedded our YouTube video in his tweet, which garnered a few 100,000 views. So it's a lose-lose situation for the big tech companies, because if they censor the truth, then it's obvious what they're doing. So that's why this is a watershed moment, and the insider wants 12 more people like him to come forward, which I guarantee you is probably what's going to happen.
The dilemma, of course, as you'll hear in the argument, and you've probably heard it a million times already, is that on the one hand, these social media companies can make whatever rules of engagement they want. They're not the government, so it's not like they're clamping down on your First Amendment rights officially, as if the government were doing it. But at the same time, they claim to be a platform for free speech, and the way that social media plays such a huge role in our national discourse now, that essentially trying to silence one side really changes the way that important things are discussed in this country. So how do you encourage folks to think about this as this watershed moment unfolds?
Well, I think it's like the corporate malfeasance cases of the 1990s with the whistleblower Jeffrey Wigand in 60 Minutes, right? That was a private corporation, but private corporations are not allowed to lie to their customers. And these companies, I think, have exemptions. Section 230 is something that many people want to remove from Facebook so that they are considered to be news organizations, or they don't have that exception that protects them. But I think the way to think about this is that if you want to ban content for political reasons, to help elect certain political candidates or appoint certain judges, then you need to come out and say that. Historically, the media has more power than all three branches of government. They call it the fourth estate for a reason, that we live in a democratic republic where citizens have to make informed decisions about who they're voting for, and they get their information from a supposedly free press. Well, the private press, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, disseminates their content through Google, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. If those tech companies adjust their algorithms and tinker with how they distribute information, then we're getting information through that prism. We don't get it directly from CNN. Only 600,000 people watch that network. But vis-a-vis the social media companies is how we are distributed that information. So in that regard, the big tech companies have more power than all three branches of government. Therefore, it's incumbent upon journalists or citizen journalists to do the job themselves. We have to do the job ourselves because we can't entrust the fourth estate to take Google on. The whistleblower did not go to the New York Times, Greg. He came to Project Veritas because, in his words, he feared the New York Times or Washington Post selling him out, not doing service to the insider. So that's a pretty extraordinary statement about the state of journalism and the state of play. And I believe that there are going to be 12 more people blow the whistle like him, and I think that is what is going to happen next.
You've got an interesting political collaboration of people who are not happy with what's happening with social media. Elizabeth Warren wants government involvement. You've got some folks on the right who think that the Fed should step in to make sure that it is, in fact, a level playing field. You're a free market guy. Well, what should the government's role be here?
I think I am a free market, maybe in a sense. I'm a libertarian in a sense, and I believe that the most important thing is for the American people to have the truth. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not a congressman. I don't have the solutions to the problem, but what I do believe is that if people know what is going on and these companies are transparent about what they're doing, I just want them to be transparent. Because if they tell the truth, listen, we have a political agenda. We want to help elect Democrats. And we want to have judges that are pro-Roe v. Wade, and we're going to censor content accordingly, and that's their MO, their modus operandi. My objective is I want them to say that transparently, honestly, and candidly. What they shouldn't do is perjure themselves under oath in front of Congress. That's very bad. There are laws against perjury, and my objective is for the big tech companies to speak clearly and tell their users what their agenda is. And I think if they do that, Greg, everything will work itself out. I think we'll all come up with the right public policy solutions, but no public policy solutions can happen until Google, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit, and others are honest about what they are doing.
Last question for you, James. All of this is happening, and perhaps not coincidentally, at a time when, depending on the issue, people are being told that if you hold a certain opinion on things, it's not just that we disagree with you, it's that that's not okay of an opinion to have. We just had Kirsten Gillibrand say that about being pro-life. If you're a judicial nominee, we've certainly heard folks say that if they're still believe that marriage should only be a man and a woman. We see folks say that if you want to turn folks away who are coming into the country illegally. So where are we as a country right now when folks are not just being told, we think your opinions are wrong, but your opinions essentially ought not to even be part of the discussion?
I think it's right out of Orwell's 1984, where the protagonist says, the most important rule is to disobey the evidence of your eyes and ears. It's the final and most essential commandment. And that's a very poignant way of putting it, because when I listen to Gillibrand at the Des Moines Register say, there's such moral clarity that you are racist, in so many words, you're racist if you are pro-life. I saw that thinking to myself, that seems like right out of what Winston said in 1984, that the party, the allegiance to party and to the political, I guess, ideology or program is more important than the truth. And I think that what you're seeing, Greg, is this is now the new reality in our politics, it's so tribal, and the big tech companies have made their choice. They have put their line in the sand with this Pinterest thing. They're saying, we're going to call pro-life people pornography. We expose it at Project Veritas. YouTube bans our video. Twitter censors our video. And Pinterest, caught between a rock and a hard place, doubles down. They double down. They don't apologize. They say, okay, we're going to take them off the porn list, and then we're going to ban them completely. So they've made their decision. It's a sort of Leninist mentality, a sort of Soviet thinking. We're just going to – the allegiance to party is more important than reality, truth, and transparency. And I just hope that the American people wake up, and that is what we're going to try to have happen.
It's certainly becoming harder and harder to ignore, and we'll see what the reaction is, and we'll see if those other whistleblowers come forward as you're suggesting that they might. James, always good to talk to you, sir. Thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
James O'Keefe is founder and president of Project Veritas. I'm Greg Corombos, filling in for Tim Donner this week. Still to come, the State of the House Freedom Caucus with former Congressman Dave Brat. And up next, some of the most important freedom-related legal news. Stay tuned.
Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.